How's it going, YouTube? Long time no see. Hope you've all been doing well in these wonderfully fun times. It's been a little while since I've shot a video. Work picked up a bit, and I've been distracted and been acquiring this pile. I have several piles I've been acquiring because I just can't help myself. And yeah, wanted to dip into it and show off some stuff. But before we get started, should you be fortunate enough to hear in the background, Exciter, Long Live the Loud. This is a CDR a friend of mine made me 1,000 years ago. It's got Long Live the Loud, which is my favorite Exciter album. It's got a track off of Speed Kills Volume 1. It's got the Feel the Knife EP, and it's got a track or two from Kill After Kill CD. Good stuff. If you have not heard Long Live the Loud, definitely check it out. The ultimate power trio? Perhaps. But why am I here today? Let's talk about cassette tapes. I have had anybody that's been on this planet long enough, maybe too long, and been around for a while, you've had to go through various musical mediums. I started off with vinyl and 8-track, and from there went to vinyl and cassette. And for my formidable years, teenager, high school student, tapes were king in my world. And when CDs came out, yes, I was enamored with them and wanted everything on CD, but it was very expensive to I could buy 2 tapes for 1 CD. But anyway, tapes were the norm, and I had a couple different vehicles with a couple of different really shitty tape players in the vehicle. So as many of you going through life have probably endured tapes getting crushed and eaten and destroyed in... Oh, hey, Butterfly, how you doing? In various tape players. It's annoying as shit. When CDs came, I completely sold over to them. I was done with tapes. I was frustrated with tapes. I made it a point, as I upgraded stuff from cassette to LP or CD, I would give the tapes away to friends just to get rid of them. I've dwindled my tape collection down, and I've talked on the streams and on this channel before how I recently got a couple destroyed tape decks fixed, and it rekindled my enjoyment of cassettes. There was some shit that I've had on tape that I've had on no other genre, and honestly, money got a little tight, so I started just kind of cruising the tape sections of eBay, Discogs, and finding some deals and some shit that I haven't had, instead of waiting and not getting it, picking it up on tape, and I've been completely okay with it. It's been actually kind of fun. So yeah, I'm back into tapes. Great. So this is a tapes-only edition of a collection update, essentially. This is stuff I've bought in the last month or two. Some of the stuff was sent to me. Some of it is just cheap acquisitions off of eBay. So I'm just going to start grabbing this shit and going for it here. We're going to start off with Kings. This was sent to me by David Holden. We did an LP trade, and he sent me some extra stuff. So yeah, this is Judas Priest Beyond Metal. It's like a greatest hits, but it's actually quite good. Of course, it's got hits on it. Got Another Thing Coming. But then it's got Hot Rockin', Beyond the Realms of Death, Eat Me Alive, The Rage, Riding on the Wind, Hellbent for Leather, Diamonds and Rust, Heading Out to the Highway. So yeah, there's a few hits sprinkled with a few deeper cuts, and honestly, it's a lot of fun. It's a good comp. Good to check out. Next up is a cassette that I just recently repurchased because I'm sick of people showing off the 30-year anniversary of this album. I used to own this on tape back in the 80s when it came out, and I enjoyed it. I remember enjoying it, and it was the only Priest tape I owned. And, I was a Maiden guy, so I couldn't listen to Priest, which is just fucking dumb. I don't know why I went to that mentality. But now I listen to a ton of Priest, and I'm slowly acquiring all of the stuff that I'm missing in their catalog, which is still a handful of stuff. I'm buying it on tape, whichever is a cheap way to get it. I tried getting this on vinyl, but it slipped away a couple different times. But we've got Judas Priest Turbo. I know it's chic and cool to hate this album, but don't hate it. I like it. You know, they basically followed the exact same footprint, same footprints as Iron Maiden. This came out about the same time as Somewhere in Time, didn't it? Did it not? I don't know for sure. Maiden adopted guitar synths into their sound, and they did it very, very effectively, whereas Priest, I don't know if it's guitar synths or actually just keyboards, but it's very poppy metal, poppy hard rock metal, and I like it. I like it. Out in the Cold, great song. Wild Nights, Hot and Crazy Days is kind of cheesy. Hot for Love, Reckless. I mean, there's a lot of good songs on this. Turbo Lover, of course, is great. Locked In, I really enjoy. Private Property, I enjoy. All three of those, I think, were the hit singles off the album. Parental Guidance, I don't know. It's a fun, lighthearted Judas Priest album. The cocaine was flowing, and I don't care. It's really good. Really good stuff. And I think this was the album that came out after it. This is Judas Priest Ram It Down. And am I supposed to hate this album? Because, again, I don't hate it. I enjoyed this album, to be honest. It's very, you can tell that Halford is very excited to be out. And if you want to read that into some of these lyrics, it's kind of jumping out at you. Which, you know what? Hats off to him. More power to him, man. And, again, this is you could tell is a perfect predecessor to Turbo. Very keyboard heavy, poppy at times, but Hard as Iron, great song. Blood Red Skies, some good shit on here. I've only listened to it twice, but I'm very psyched to have it, and rest assured I'm going to hunt these down on vinyl at some point. For some reason, Judas Priest, yeah, I've got some of their stuff on CD, but most of it on vinyl, and most of my copies on vinyl are ratted out bad because I pick them up at record shows here and there. But probably one of the better thrash albums I've bought here in this round has been, this is another thing I used to own, and I don't know what the fuck happened to it, but it's gone. Whether I decided I didn't like it anymore and got rid of it when I got more into death metal, I don't know, but I think these guys are from Netherlands. They're Dutch, I believe. Artillery with Terror Squad and Fear of Tomorrow, split cassette. This is a lengthy one. Look at all the tape on this bitch. Woof. I paid probably a little bit more for this than I should have because the CDs and the LPs were way more expensive, and I didn't want to really buy a Russian bootleg, so I went for the tape. And I'm glad I did because I used to have it on tape, and it's very cool. And the side one is Terror Squad, is definitely my favorite of the bunch. Excellent thrash. These guys don't really sound like anyone else to me, to be honest. And I found it, after not hearing it, and for many years, I found it quite refreshing. Very European sounding thrash. It's not like Creator, like super abrasive like Creator. It's not real moshy like, American thrash. It just has its own, it stays in its own lane, and it's quite good. Good guitar work, good vocals on this stuff. This is these two things were also sent to me by David. This was a surprise. This is Cacophony with Marty Friedman and Jason Becker. Go off. For some reason, it was always in my head that these guys were in the glam metal spectrum. But it was actually kind of a thrashy, speed metal-y kind of release. Of course, God, this album's so fucking good. Seriously, if you've never heard Long Live the Loud by Exciter, check it out. It's fucking awesome, man. So much power. But anyway, Cacophony. This was kind of refreshing. I know there's other albums by these guys. They're known, obviously Marty went on to be in Megadeth on Rust in Peace, one of my all-time favorite thrash albums. Jason ended up contracting ALS. Sucks, man. It really sucks. But this is good. Surprising. I've only listened to it once, but I'm keeping it, and I enjoyed it. Like I said, it's definitely a little more speed metal, really fast. A lot of aggression in it. The singing is clean, melodious singing. I don't know exactly who's singing on this. I probably should check that out. It's not jumping right out at me. It's not saying. Anyway, good album. I was surprised. Don't judge a book by its cover. This was not glam. I was surprised. Also, Dave sent me this, You Wanted the Best, You Got the Best. I'm a Kiss fan. And this is basically a best of the Alive albums. So, you know, there's nothing here that is rare or unreleased. But to have on in the shop, it was a lot of fun. It was fun to listen to. You know, the chances of me, red tape, the chances of me spinning this a lot are very slim, but I've enjoyed my time with it. It might come off the shelf once in a while. We'll see. Next up, this is the second album by Rathchild America. This is 3D. This album, I started off, you know, Climbing the Walls is their first album. Major label, Atlantic Records. You could tell Atlantic was just signing up anybody and everybody that was somewhat thrashy to try to capitalize on the whole, you know, the whole boom of that whole genre. And Climbing the Walls I had when I was younger and thought it was okay, but I ended up getting rid of it. It just didn't really stick with me. It's just kind of a happy kind of thrash, bluesy, weird kind of thrash that just didn't really click with me. Recently rebought it, liked it a little bit better. Now this album, I started listening to it. I thought it was quite dull, to be honest with you. A little less punchy. But as the album went on, by the midpoint of this album, I was sold. There's some really cool musicianship on here. There's some really well... The dog is seeing reflections from the light. Look at her. She's dancing around. Reflections off the tape case on the wall. And she's like a cat with a laser pointer. That shit drives her crazy. So she's probably going to be doing this the whole time I'm doing this video. Just don't bark, okay? Is it a deal? Deal. What was I saying? There's some great musicianship on here, and there's some great songs on here that by midpoint, by side 2, I was won over, and this is a keeper. Is it one I'm going to reach for a lot? Again, probably not, but it's got a lot of punch, it's got a lot of creativity to it, and I enjoyed it a lot, actually, and I'm psyched to have it on tape, because that just kind of feels right. Thrash, to me, you know, I'm younger. When I was younger, you know, tapes were my thing, and that was right the thrash pinnacle for me. A very influential time in my life for this type of music, and cassette tapes for me, very much thrash metal, very much dungeon synth. That just seems to be the perfect medium. Next up, this one came sealed, and this is a band that evaded me over the years, fell through the cracks, and it wasn't until the episode of Radical Research where my buddy Jeff and Hunter discussed Finland's Pyogenesis. This is Waves of... The lighting in here sucks. I can't read it. I don't know. Can you see that? That's the name of it. This is on Relapse, or Nuclear Blast America, which was Relapse. And they talk very highly of this band. And, you know, this tape is pretty decent. It's like really doomy, murky, weird death metal / doom conglomeration. It's good. Like I said, it's really murky. It's okay. It kind of bored me. I'm not going to lie. It didn't... the songwriting just really wasn't there for me. I'm going to listen to it again. It's an EP. I'm assuming it's the same thing on both sides. But it was good enough to keep it, and I'll go back to it again. If I'm missing out, if there's one of their albums that you think is just the shit, and I'm not interested when they went rock and roll, okay? I don't care about that stuff. Next up, this is one I did not get. I missed out on this. I stopped buying after Leave Scars because I went death metal. I can't have any thrash. Time Does Not Heal. I had never heard this album until I bought this tape. And you can say that this album is a mouthful. A mouthful? What does that mean? Well, that means There are a million fucking riffs on this album. And Gene Hoglan, as we all know and love as the Atomic Clock, this was his band starting off, and he went on to do a lot of amazing things, and I'm hearing that Dark Angel is returning, but we shall see. But Gene wrote a lot of these songs, and it's like he wanted to get everything. I want to do all the things and cram them all into these songs. I want to write every single riff. Every riff I write is going into these songs. And, you know, from a songwriting perspective, it's tough to stomach. It's tough to swallow. But if you want to push through that and keep listening, you know, this is good shit. And I'm not saying that this is a bad album because of too many riffs, but it's a lot to process. And one or two listens, you're not going to be like, oh, eureka, I got it. No, you're going to have to really spend some time with this. I have started on that journey. I am not fully there yet, but I'm glad I got this. And I got it for like $8, which is sweet. This is the second time I bought this because the first one I bought had tape rot, tape mold. So per the suggestion of my brothers on YouTube and other people that chimed in, just get rid of it. So I chucked the tape and the case and everything in the garbage and bought another one. This is Sorrow Forgotten Sunrise. And this is good. You know, we got the guy with the short shorts showing off things that should maybe be left unseen. But I like this. It's good, but it's kind of boring. I think I like the other one better with the better cover. It looks like a comic book cover. I can't remember the name of it. I gotta sit with this some more. Sometimes Doom, if I'm not in the mood for Doom, it's not gonna happen. And when I spun this, I might have been in that mood. But, you know, it's good Death Doom, but it's not real exciting. Next up, I've shown this before, but this is Soldiers of Misfortune by Sacrifice. Oops. I saw these guys on this tour, the only time I saw them, and they were playing with Morbid Angel and other death metal bands, and to be honest, all the other bands kind of blew them off the stage. But I was there to see Sacrifice. At that point, I had never heard Morbid Angel, so it was quite an eye-opening experience, to say the least. But thinking in my head that they played a lot of songs off of this album, and I was a big Torment and Fire and Forward Determination guy. So hearing some of these songs live when I wanted to hear the classics, they seem kind of boring to me, so I never checked this or Apocalypse Inside Out. But picked this up, and I like it. It's good. It's solid. It sounds like Sacrifice. The songs may not be as lethal or as instantly catchy as the previous two albums, but, you know, this is the sound of a band evolving and honing their craft. I think everybody writes their more catchy, potent stuff when they're young and when they're first starting out. And then it's harder to process in a short turnaround time another album's worth of stuff. It just is. Good stuff. I am looking for Apocalypse Inside. If anybody's got a line on that, let me know. Next up, English thrash. Other than Onslaught's The Force, which is a genius strike of thrash metal, I haven't found really any. You know, I need to think about that. Other than Sabbat, however you say it, History of a Time to Come, Dreamweaver are fucking amazing. Skyclad, early Skyclad. Not a big. Oh shit! They did the Ghostbusters cover. Starts with an I. Fuck. Anyway, I picked this up. Damn, Inside Out. And after seeing the three-way thrash videotape, I didn't quite like them on a same video with Candlemass and Dark Angel. But by themselves, this is okay. Songs are kind of long. I mean, as you can see, there's a lot of tape there. The guy's vocals is good, and I liked it. I've only listened to this once. This is kind of a recent acquisition. I am going to spend more time with it and probably check out some of their other releases. I think they got one other. But yeah, it made me take notice. And I've got a screensaver. There we go. The full jury is out on this, but I am probably going to end up liking this quite a bit. I'm going to definitely spin it a few more times before I stick it on the rack. On the other hand, here's another tape that I had around the same time as Turbo that I used to really enjoy and got rid of it because I was too death metal for this shit. I'm recently this year been buying things by Rat that I had when I was younger. This is Dancing Undercover, and I got this the other day and listened to it 3 times while I was working. It was fun. It's a fun rock and roll album, with hair metal. You want to call it that? Fine. As far as hair metal bands go, these guys were kind of my jam. And I never really branched out. I did own a Cinderella album, Night Songs, which I kind of liked. But other than that, this was it. And it's well written. Rock, hard rock, metal, whatever you want to call it. Stephen Pearcy's got an interesting, unique voice. I dig it. It's fun. Next up, this is I wish I knew more about this band other than I know King Fowley played drums on one of their albums, and it always made me interested to check them out, and I just snapped this up relatively cheap. This is Morbius, Alien Christ. King is not on this album. This came out on Head Split. This must be a reissue or a new one. I don't know. Like I said, I know nothing about this band. Other than this is a very awesome old school death metal cassette. The songwriting is really good. It sounds very early 90s, meaning it's death metal, but it's got an obvious it came from thrash metal, so the tone isn't completely slayed by distortion. So good, man. Exciter, fucking awesome. The songs are not buried in a mess of simplistic chords and polluted death metal sound. There's very distinct riffs. There's a thrash element to it. The vocals aren't super guttural, but they're deep and very cool. This is just a very good death metal band. I was quite surprised, and I'm definitely going to be checking out their other stuff. These are two I kind of got out of Testament after Practice What You Preach. I never ended up getting Souls of Black or The Ritual, and I always thought that they were a little boring. What I heard on MTV didn't really strike me as great. So I got this one sealed for like $6, and it's quite good. I've enjoyed it. What were the hits on this one? Souls of Black. I don't know. I don't know if they had a ton of... I don't know if they did a ton of videos for this one, but... Sorry. It's good. It's Testament. And I think Practice What You Preach had a bit of a commercial slant to it. A little of that spills into this, but not bad. And The Ritual, probably along the same lines, but it wanders a little bit more. It kind of struck me as boring at times, but I enjoyed it. To be honest, I mean, it's Testament. You really can't go wrong with that formula. What was the hit on this one? Return to Serenity. It's kind of a ballad. Good song. And this is a decent album, and I'm kind of glad I picked up both of these tapes. I think I've got most of the Testament albums now, which is right on. Okay, next up. This is the last band we're talking about for today. And my buddies... After, stating my opinion over and over that the only Suicidal worth listening to is the first one, which is a great classic hardcore album in my opinion. This is right up there with my favorites, right along, Minor Threat, Early Dead Kennedys. Great album, absolutely great. Pat, Ground Zero Salem, Jason Hook from Get Into It, and Eric Bauer, they're all like, no, man, you got to keep trying, because I thought this album, what I heard off this album was crap. I ended up getting all of these in a lot. No, I didn't. 2 of them I did not. These I got in a lot. The other 2 I did not. But, so yeah, it was a cheap lot. It was under $20, and it allowed me to listen to this album, and it's quite good. It's them just clinging to the hardcore thing. Possessed Escape was the video they had off of this, and it's a good song. I used to joke about it, but I like it, and they're starting to get a bit more thrashy with this. I don't have any of these in order, and some of these I've only listened to once. These 3, well, these 2 are probably my favorite of the bunch. This being, I've shown this before. I ended up sending that tape to Eric Bauer. But this is How Will I Laugh Tomorrow When I Can't Even Smile Today. This is a thrash album. The Venice Beach style. There's a little bit of hardcore in it, but it's mostly thrash. You know, the foundation of it is thrashy. Very good songwriting. The songs are good. They're punchy. Very much in the sitting in the perfect style for what was happening at that time. And this was when Atlantic was signing up a bunch of thrash bands. So was Epic Records, apparently. And these guys were in there. Good album. Probably my favorite of the thrashy stuff. Next up, which was... Is this the one? Yeah. This is a good one, too. Lights, Camera, Revolution. This got Robert Trujillo, who went on to be in Infectious Grooves, which is a Suicidal side project. He also went on to be in Ozzy's band, and he's now, obviously, in Metallica. This is a decent album as well. Very thrashy. Well written. Mike is starting to get a little bit more talkative in the songs, which is part of the style, but it starts to get annoying as fuck. This here was enjoyable too after all these years. Still Psycho after all these years. Basically, they went in and re-recorded stuff off the first album, the second album, early stuff re-recorded. A punchier production with more of a thrash metal mindset approaching those hardcore songs. Still good. I enjoyed it. And here is where it kind of goes off the rails and starts to get a little out of my wheelhouse, to be honest. These 3 albums were all kind of indistinguishable of each other. We've got The Art of Rebellion. We've got Suicidal for Life. We got Controlled by Hatred, I Feel Like Shit, Deja Vu. This one had some okay stuff on it. But again, I'm just going to talk about these 3 as a whole. I think Mike, who has obviously been the mainstay in this band since the beginning, I think he created a caricature of himself. And over the years, you know, he did an admirable job of maintaining that character. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of him in this character. I mean, it has life on the streets type of feel, but you know, from the beginning, the songs, it seems like he has kind of written himself in a corner, having to portray a going crazy, suicidal, and it perpetuates through every album. It gets old. He starts having these long narrative, like, talking parts that him going crazy, and I'm crazy, I'm Psycho Myco, and the shit fucking bugs the shit out of me, and I'm not down with that. It's just very immature to me. The music gets elements of funk. Some of the songs are just kind of boring. They kind of lose the thrash and hardcore spirit, and just kind of, they cling to their essence, but they lose their potency. But I'm very glad I bought these, to be honest, because there's some here that I think are great, and I'm glad I have in the collection. The other ones, a lot of these have been processed once or twice, and to be honest, I'm glad I have mine come back to them at another time. But right now, I'm just kind of like, probably not going to listen to those too often. But so that's it. I'm probably going to do sooner than later a what's spinning video, maybe a collection update. I got to get on the Manila Road. I've been saying it and saying it and saying it. Oh, one thing. The last thing I was involved in on here was with my buddy Matt over at The Dark Path. We did a dual video on Fields of the Nephilim. We both discussed Fields of the Nephilim for just under an hour. If you would like to sit and listen to that, we showed off some records, talked about some old English goth that still rules today. Definitely, I'll leave a link. You can head over to his channel and check that out. Until next time, thanks for sticking with me, and thanks to all the new subscribers. I really appreciate it. It's good to see that number slowly inching up. I'm going to be a fucking star someday. Someday I'm going to be Marty Fantano. Cheers.